This is Off the Record, a radio playlist where I help you discover new artists and new music. We're here today with the leading man, Daniel from Hey Again, who just released their newest EP, Trial Run. Daniel, how's your day going?
It's going great. Thank you so much for having me, Isaiah. How you doing?
I'm so excited to chat with you about this incredible EP. But I really want to know like the origin story of like Hey Again and how you guys came to that name.
Great question. And I wish there was a more interesting answer than just the infinite notes app like that we were building for maybe a year and a half before somebody was just randomly one day, hey, this one that we came up with like the first week we started doing this, like, hey again. I like that one. And I think what happened, I think why we came up with that name was we just always were greeting each other with a hey, followed up with another hey when we were trying to like just get a hold of each other when we were first playing with each other. I think that's where that came from. But yeah, just the laundry list of band names was getting so insane. When we scrolled back up, we realized, you know what? We had it right the first time.
What was it like forming the band? What were those early days kind of like?
It was interesting. I was going up solo as an artist for way longer than even Hey Again has been doing, like been active in the past couple of years, even though Hey Again's seen so much more like local success, like doing the thing. But the band came together when I was booking shows solo back in, I want to say 2021, 2022, right around when like venues were opening up again. And it was just my three best friends, still are my like three best friends like that I make music with. I met Rob, our drummer, on in a music program when we were like 14. I met Jason at a different music program, the guitarist, when we were 14 or 15 at School of Rock. And actually, I met Alex like maybe a few years ago when we both joined Jason's other band just in a rehearsal, and we all just hit it off so well.
That's so cool. What would you say kind of sets you guys apart from other bands on the scene right now?
I would say that a big thing that I'm noticing, maybe New York specifically, is a lot of emotionlessness from bands on stage. A lot of people trying to play it too cool. And I'm happy to say that I think that era is kind of ending. I see a lot of bands trying to find their way and like navigating away from that. And I've always been a sincerity forward artist and songwriter, like lyrically and musically. I think just being able to wring out emotion from people is why we make art or like find our way moving toward art in general. So I think that's one thing that we always are geared toward tapping into is how can we get to the heart of a new sound or of a new thought from a songwriting perspective.
What was it like putting this track list together? And what is your guys' like process right now as songwriters?
This track list is interesting. You said easy to break in the very beginning. Like that song predates the band by a good year or two. That was like sort of just sitting in my drafts for a while. And that just runs right up to the fifth track on the EP. We added that day. We didn't even know that we were going to put it in the EP until we had some spare time in the studio. And me and Jason were just like, why don't we do this one that I just wrote at the time? So it spans 2 years. The six songs kind of span a good length of time for us to be unpacking. And it really just came about as like I would just be showing demos to the band, and the songs would change very like not that drastically. Like I like the band is very like understanding of my vision for like where I want us to go. And but like it becomes something new. It becomes more of what it should be once everyone actually picks up the instruments and we're in the studio and trying new things. So all the songs kind of just came together in that way, and that's why the sound kind of translates across the board to all of them.
I always love asking when a project takes years to kind of put itself together. Was there a song or like a lyric or a line that didn't make the cut that you come back to often?
It's a great question. I think everything wound up there wasn't much left on the cutting room floor. There wasn't a song that we scrapped or anything like that.
Oh, great.
Which is really nice. What I do think we kind of debated about for a while was we did release 2 singles the first year we formed, Full Swing and Lazy Bones. And we were talking for a while about, so should this like next batch of songs include those 2? And it's not like it got that heated, but everyone kind of disagreed for a long time about like what we should do. Like, should we just release them together? Should we like put them like as like a tag at the end of the EP? It just felt too different to like to pair up with these 6. I'm realizing I'm not answering your question. No, I don't think we had anything. I'm just trying to think if there's like a lyric that I didn't wind up keeping. I'll say this: I feel like a lot of the lyrics I was going to cut they sung too well for me. I'm just like such a sucker for like I feel good singing it, so I'm gonna keep
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a songwriter, I definitely think a lot about like what things I want to keep in the like edit 2, edit 3, edit 4. And I'm always surprised by what sticks around. So there's a couple that like actually surprisingly made it in, and I'm like, I can't believe that stinker of a line people like. So I'm gonna keep it, I guess.
Following this project, what should audiences be on the lookout for from you guys?
On the look at as far as like next releases or just like
Yeah,
next
like
things that we have
what
coming
do you guys
up.
have on the docket for the rest of the year?
We're looking to do a Northeast tour. Once this EP is out, we actually have a few venues that we're still locking down places, so I'm
Yeah.
cagey about making any announcements. But we want to hit like all of the places where we've like opened for bands like from elsewhere in New York. We just want to like go support acts from elsewhere. So New Jersey and Connecticut and Philly are the next places that we have our eyes on. We want to hit the college circuit in the fall as well. That's the next thing that we're looking to do. And you know, hopefully by the end of the year, like we're still writing the next batch of songs, so I'm trying
That's
to
awesome.
get that in the studio ASAP.
Well, my next question for you, what do you hope audiences take away from this project as a whole?
We've been talking a lot this past like few weeks about what the EP means to each other, like to ourselves, to each other, because it's easy for me to just answer that question and be like, well, to me it means this, and I hope everyone else takes something away from it.
Yeah.
But talking with the rest of the band, I realized like, I mean, we agree on what it means and like what the themes are, but it also takes on such a different meaning depending on who's listening to it and on the day. So these days, my answer to this like thought about like what I hope people take away from it, this EP is an exploration on the idea of being in an in-between place. Like you haven't quite reached the potential of what you think you can achieve, but you also are growing actively.
Yeah.
So that's where the word try in the title of Trial Run is really doing the heavy lifting in that. So I'm hoping that anybody listening to it is taking in that being in an in-between place isn't a bad thing. Being on the precipice of something can kind of actually be a freeing feeling. And it should also, you know, it can be embraced as feeling kind of negative sometimes, and you know, trying to figure out what that actually looks like. And you know, speaking just candidly, like being a band, like in this day and age where AI music, who knows where it's going to go next? Being real artists, it's easy to get really down about whatever the future might look like in that regard. So being on the precipice of that is also where our heads are at. And I'm hoping that like this just reaches a community that like leans in our direction a little bit more too.
Oh, that's great. Well, it's time for my favorite question. I asked you to bring 3 songs from 3 other artists, and feel free to elaborate a little bit on why you picked these.
You should know I picked 20 and I've narrowed it down.
I love it. I love it.
I was like panic adding last night, but I'm gonna shout out a few local artists that like I'm honored to know personally. So I'll start off with this band Endearments. Kevin Markson, who fronts the band, is a good friend of mine. We've actually played with them a lot. They are just an incredible synth pop band. People compare them to like 80s nostalgia, but I know that like it's also pulling from the same kind of 90s that like Hey Again pulls from, and that kind of like that style of angsty, big anthemic songwriting that I am such a sucker for. And they just came out with an album a few weeks ago. And I'm going to shout out the song Saline, which has my favorite bridge and lyrics and just great hooks on there. The next song I'm going to shout out, I'm going to shout out is Wetsuit, who also just came out with an amazing album last year. Allison is just such an incredible songwriter. And similarly just has like this sort of like similarly to like what I kind of gravitate toward in the songwriting I listen to. Everything is a hook. And the wall of guitars in this band, I still don't understand how to get all of those. I'm gonna pick her brain and the band's brain on like how you guys get that sound like for like forever. But Can't Hold Water is probably the song that I go back to the most on that recent album. The way that the hook lands in the very end is like quintessential to like what they're so good at as a band of getting like a nice good crescendo build to the end. And the last song I'll shout out in this little segment would be I'm going to shout out my friend Josh Kuberez. His band is Kuvo. I've actually played with them a couple of times. I love playing with this band. He's definitely an artist who like lets the band stretch their skills out while they're playing, and I just selfishly I appreciate that. And he's also just so good at playing alongside everybody. I like to compare him, and I've told him this, that his music is like the 1975 and Bleachers and Bruce Springsteen. It's all that's like what makes all of those groups great in terms of like the pop sensibilities, the romantic songwriting, and the Americana of it all is all in there. And I'm going to shout out the song that he just dropped, Control Z.
Wow.
Those are the three I'll shout out. Also, just going to very briefly shout out two other artists I'm going to be playing with in a couple of months, just in a couple of weeks for our EP release show. Lily Arminda's song DTR and Sarah Michelle Lee's Bonafide Rockstar are like constantly just on my playlist these days. They're like such great indie pop singer-songwriters that I'm also just honored to know and just know their talents, constantly be inspired by. And they're opening for us at our next show on April 29th. That's going to be awesome. Really fun.
Well, Daniel, thank you so much for coming and gabbing with me today about Trial Run.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been such a fun time.
All right. Well, everyone, enjoy a Trial Run and enjoy my favorite track on it, Easy to Break.